110-67. It is the worst loss by margin that Illinois has ever taken in the history of the program. Duke had 7 men in double figures. Their defense was unbelievable. Illinois from 3 went 2 for 26 in this game. Immediate reaction from MSG. Jeff, Duke, was this about Duke being maybe the nation's best, or was this about Illinois?
A combination, right? I mean, it can't be when it's that lopsided, it can't be one without the other as well. It was Duke's dominance, which we've seen throughout the season, and especially on the defensive end. I mean, how good are those guys? 3 freshmen that play that much, that none play like freshmen. And we've seen it. But to me tonight, it was just indicative of 2 different programs with both having young players, but one having poised, mentally tough, physically tough freshmen who, again, don't look like freshmen. And Duke came out of the gates and set the tone right away.
Yeah, this absolutely was more about Duke than it was about Illinois. Duke just ripped the soul out of Illinois. Like, you could see it in the second half. Brett Underwood used 2 timeouts in like the first 90 seconds of the second half because they're already down by 15, and Duke comes out and scores the first 10 points in the half, and it was over from there. And then it was just a rout. I'm every time I watch Duke play, I am more impressed by them. And I'm getting to the point where, I mean,
how can you not be?
I think they might be better than Auburn, and it might be a fact of.
I hate to tell you, but they did beat Auburn.
I know, but what I'm saying is,
it's not crazy to say.
But I feel like the consensus right now is that Auburn is the best team in college basketball. Right? I feel like that's where most people are. Is that Auburn is the best team in college basketball?
I think it was because of a weak ACC, and I don't think so tonight. I think as we're talking, us 3 at this table tonight, there are going to be people on the side of Duke's the national champion, or that Auburn's the national champion. I think that there's a true now already on X tonight, Jeff. It's okay. Would you rather have Duke Auburn or the field? Like they're on
Duke Auburn.
Yeah.
I'll take Duke Auburn, please. And to me, I'll take that as the national title game. Yeah, I think everybody would right now. They are the 2 best teams. They've proven it, and they've done it differently. As you said, I mean, Auburn's gone through the gauntlet of the SEC, and Duke's gone through maybe the weakest ACC we've ever seen.
You know what the thing about tonight was that was just incredibly impressive to me was Duke got whatever shot they wanted against Illinois. Whatever shot they wanted in the first half. Wherever they wanted to go, they got there. Whatever they wanted to run, they were able to execute it. Whatever jump shot they were looking for, whoever they were trying to get to run off of the screen, they were able to get that shot. Not every single one of them went down, but every single one of them was the shot that they wanted. I never felt like Illinois had any kind of impact on what Duke wanted to do on the offensive end of the floor. And this is a team that came in as a top 30 defense in America.
To me, what stands out is, I agree with everything you just said, but Jeff, in the first half, you look at the score, and they're up close to 20 points, and Cooper Flagg had 1 field goal make. Right. So for the person out there who's like, well, it's Flagg. This team, yes, Flagg is incredible, and he ended up having 16.7 rebounds and 5 assists. Mm-hmm. But when you can go into the locker room against Illinois and be up 54-37, they scored 54 points in the first half, and Flagg had 1 made field goal.
And you know what they weren't really doing a lot of? Trash talking, celebrating, none of that. This team reminds me a little bit of their workmanlike approach of Jay Wright's Villanova teams that won the national title.
I agree with that.
Right? They don't show a ton of emotion. They just go out and they kick your ass, and they do it in a very workmanlike manner.
Flagg has a Brunson-like personality.
Right? Doesn't show any emotion. Really, very minimal. Just goes out and beats your ass. Like, he really just sucks the life out of you.
And you know what else I noticed? And we just got done with post-game presser. I think we're seeing John Shire get fully comfortable.
Oh, completely.
With he loves his team.
Sure.
Like, he liked it, and he should. But he was so at ease just now with the press. And after a night like this, you should be. But I just think he said this to me just now. He said, my team embodies how I played.
Well, because last year's team, let's face it, their chemistry wasn't there. That was the biggest issue. This year's team, you can see it. Like, they're cheering for each other. They're not forcing things. They're not taking bad shots. I mean, it starts with Cooper Flagg.
No, it does. But the pieces that Shire brought in, and I think that is something that's gone a little bit under the radar when it comes to the way that he's built this roster, right? And we mentioned it at the start of the season, but when you have those young guys, and look, Cooper Flagg, Con Knipple, Common Malawach, to a point, those guys don't really play like they are freshmen, right? But they're still freshmen. They're still young. They still have that learning curve that, we saw Knipple go through a little bit of a rough spell there for a while. Like
so
Malawach.
cerebral,
yeah, but the thing is, the guys that he brought in, Mason Gillis, one, knows how to win. He spent 4 years at Purdue. Two, has no problem just being a guy that's like, hey, you know what? Go out there, rebound, be physical, be 6'6", 225, and knock down some threes and you're open. Sion James has no problem going out there and say, look, we're going to use you as a point guard sometimes. We're going to use you as a defensive stopper sometimes. We're going to use you as this big physical wing sometimes. And look, I mentioned this to you earlier. Tyrese Proctor was a guy that was on NBA draft boards as a point guard, right? As a point guard. A guy that was projected as a lottery pick by some. You can say that it was me that started the hype train. I don't care, whatever. But there was very real hype for him to be an NBA lottery pick caliber point guard. And he has not lived up to that. And he has remade himself as one of the best 3-and-D role players in college basketball. And I'll tell you this for the people that don't know. Tyrese Proctor is much bigger than you realize. Like, if you're watching him on TV, he looks like he's 6'1", 6'2".
Oh, yeah. He's 6'4",
he might even be like he's like 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah.
He's got long arms.
Yep.
He works his ass off defensively.
He's
terrific
defensively.
He's one of the best shooters in like he has remade himself into a 3-and-D role piece that fits perfectly alongside a superstar. And you know what that's going to do? That is going to make him be an NBA player. Tyrese Proctor is going to play in the NBA as a guy on the wing. That's my hot take.
You know what else?
It's not a hot take.
You know what else is
It's
a
the truth.
take?
I mean, you're right.
Here's a take that I have.
Go ahead.
Isaiah Evans needs you in the building.
I know,
night.
right? This kid,
What do you make of him? What do you think?
Again, you bring that kid off the bench. Caleb Foster got a little run tonight. We forgot about Caleb Foster. They didn't have Malik Brown. They didn't have Malik Brown.
Somebody said to me in press row, wasn't this Foster kid supposed to be pretty good for this team?
Right. I mean, people thought he was going to be the leading scorer of this team coming into the year. And now, again, he plays a minimal role. They're deep. They're talented. They defend. They can score. What is their weakness, Rob? What's their weakness?
They don't really have one.
They don't have one.
They don't have. There's so many different ways that they can beat you. The weakness is they have so many young players going through the tournament for the first time, right? What's going to happen?
Worry about them?
No, and what's going to happen when they run into close games? Like, it's one thing to beat the absolute brakes off someone. What we've seen, they basically, I looked into this the other day. They basically played 5 games where there was real game pressure on them down the stretch. They lost to Kentucky in the Champions Classic, and there were some, like, Cooper Flagg made some turnovers on the stretch. They lost to Kansas in Vegas, and Cooper Flagg had those 2 missed shots down the stretch. They beat Auburn. They beat, I believe it was Wake Forest on the road when they came back, and Cooper Flagg did everything late. And then the slip at Clemson when Cooper Flagg had the flu, right? They're 2-3 in close games. But 2 of those losses came in November, and one of them came because the dude fell on a wet spot on the floor.
That's what I asked them tonight. I said, how much more comfortable are you at the end of the game now compared to early in the season? And he gave you the stock answer of, hey, I'm learning from every experience.
Villanova like the thing.
I'm telling you. Like, had you thought of that before, Villanova?
No, your insightful mind just
brought
it to my brain. No, now, yes. Now, I have thought a little bit about it.
There's a little bit to it.
There is a little bit to it.
Right? They're not – they kind of act like pros.
No, they're not talking at people tonight. They put on a performance.
Not at all.
There wasn't one testy moment. Right. Illinois got their butt kicked, and we'll get to them in a moment because we need to turn to the Illini, and we know there's a fan base who's very concerned on this night. But I think it's what you just said. And Shire made this known on the press conference. It is the amount that this Duke team takes away from their opponent defensively. He said, I'm amazed. He used those words. He said, I'm amazed by our connectivity on that end of the floor. In other words, we all thought they'd be a potentially very strong defensive team when you have a player like Flagg coming in. But, Rob, I'm with you on this. This team is in all the right places at all the right times on that end. Illinois looked overwhelmed and outmatched. This was a Big Ten team that also is in a bad way right now. But for Duke to hold them, Rob, to 0 for 16 from 3 in the first half. I know there were some open looks that didn't fall. They were rattled.